with the exception of maybe one or two episodes of WandaVision, there has not been a single episode of Marvel television that has understood me and gotten me as much as this episode of Hawkeye has. I'll give you my thoughts and reactions right after the jump. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. So this episode, Echo, starts with us getting backstory about Echo, Maya. Maya is a deaf girl who has a prosthetic leg, who sort of gets by in the world by overdoing it, overcompensating, and learning to sort of look at the other things that she can't, if she can't hear, using the other things to sort of amplify herself. Sort of in the comics, she mimics people. It doesn't seem like we're quite going that way here, but she is studying people's patterns so that she can counter that and block that. It doesn't seem like they're going so much way in the Taskmaster way because we already have a character like that exists in this sort of street level world. But those are sort of what she's doing. One day, as a kid, she comes home from martial arts and after boxing, and she sees that her entire family is being slaughtered in their garage. Her family is a part of a undertaking of illegal activities that I'm not sure if she is or is not aware of, but it doesn't matter at that point because that is still her family. But she sees Ronan is the person who is doing this in real time and is murdering off her family and her father. Thus, we see why she is responding and acting the way that she does when she sees someone walking around wearing that Ronin outfit. I have to be honest, I'm always a sucker for content that shows the other side of the coin. I know, I know people hate it for whatever reason, but I think Last of Us 2 is one of the most recent things that I can think of that does an amazing job of it, in that it shows you the opposite side and the opposite viewpoint of a center point or of a moment in time, of a fraction of time. And so, as an audience, we've been conditioned to root for and follow one group of people, but this opening sort of gives us a chance to understand, and we don't necessarily have to agree with her, but we understand why Maya is operating the way that she does. And while may have been doing some illicit activities, in this moment, a young girl lost her father and saw people that she cared about brutally murdered. And so this gives us a better understanding of why she is the way that she is. Also, a little bit of an Easter egg. I know people see it, that the writing's on the wall. She has an uncle that has a very familiar laugh and a familiar sense of fashion that I'm sure is going to rear his head real soon. So after learning about Maya, we come back to present day where we see that Clint and Kate are still captured and they're being sort of tormented by the tracksuit mafia. Maya comes out and asks point blank, like, who is Ronan? If it's not Kate, who she's like, she can handle herself, she can beat up my men, and Clint's like, she's 9. That's not Ronan. She's like, well, if that's not her, then who is? And he says that Ronan has been killed at the hands of Black Widow, which technically not a lie. She's not really buying it, and so some witty dialogue, some witty banter, and an amazing action sequence set these folks apart, where they end up on an escape. In this a fight sequence that sort of takes place, Clint's hearing aid gets damaged, and then a massive and very fantastically shot car chase sequence happens. It appears as if it's shot as a one shot. We know that the way that there's just no way they can do that, but they splice together that you get sort of a rotating camera that is looking at all types of views in the car. It is fantastic to watch. It's fun. It's one of the funnest. It's not a word. It's one of the best looking action sequences that I think any of these Marvel series shows have had, probably with the exception of the Falcon and Winter Soldier diving on the train sequence, which we never really get anything that grand again. I gotta say, the back and forth of dialogue between Clint and Kate once he loses his earpiece is both some of the funniest and most charming and witty and silly things that I've ever seen. And it just works. They both play on each other so well. It is quirky and understated, so but it works, and it's the kind of silly stuff that makes me smile. This episode feeds my action junkie stuff with the car chase sequence and the stuff that happens in the garage, but it also fills my just like need for banter and a familiarity being bonded together, and that all comes together here. So once the chase sequence is over, we go back and we learn that Maya and her team, Tracksuit Mafia, have been keeping a low profile up to this point because they don't want her uncle to rear his ugly head, which we all know we're starting to realize who that uncle is. And when he comes in, some shit's going to go down. Unless you also know that at some point in time, while it seemed like she had an endearing look to her uncle at that point, something happens in their lifetime where they don't mesh. He may do things differently than she does, whatever the case may be. Once the kingpin shows up, who everybody believes that's who her uncle is, it's going to get a little testy for her. I will say that having a massive highway chase sequence is not the way to stay under the cover, so he's going to be aware of them much sooner than later. And then I think we get to the heartbeat of this episode, which is sort of the most heartfelt and emotional sequence I've had in a while. To the point where I actually, for one of these Marvel series, outside of the grief stuff that happens with Wanda, because Elizabeth Olsen's killing it, there's an emotional heartbeat and sequence in this where Clint's earpiece is still damaged. He gets a phone call. He gets a phone call from his son, who he thinks originally is his wife. He can't make out anything. Everything just sounds like the teacher from Peanuts. Wah, 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 wah. It's just really low and garbled. And Kate happens to be coming in after walking the dog and sees that he has a call and tells him like the little boy. And so he has to use Kate to recite back what his son is saying to him, and he has to do it in real time. And there's still a look of the two of them having this interaction about the boy that just wants his dad home from Christmas and him knowing that he can't be there, and Kate realizing that she is responsible for him not being able to do there, and the just looks of pain that they both have for this young boy who has given it permission for his dad to not be there for Christmas is that's tough. That's a rough. It's a kick in the nuts there. Once that's over, Kate and Clint go to get his earpiece repaired and have a little bit of a lunch. And at that lunch, Kate sort of lets on that she's aware of who Ronan really was or really is. And Clint sort of fires back that being a hero has sacrifices and people that you care about will be lost and that he is not a hero. And Kate immediately fires back like, no, you are a hero because you've given up going to be with your family on Christmas to help out a stranger who probably got you more into this mess than needed to be. And that makes you a hero. And it is interesting to see Clint be damaged enough to know that that stuff that he did as Ronin, where he lost a bit of his soul about who he is, has infected him enough that he doesn't believe that when he does good, that he can sort of repair for that. And then on top of that, what he feels is being responsible for his best friend's death. So then the episode sort of is coming to a close when Kate lets Clint know that her mom has a security firm, and that if we go into her loft, we can probably get some information about the Tracksuit Mafia, specifically Maya's right-hand man, who they believe to have some tension with Maya. Clint knows the name, so he gives the name, and they go upstairs and search. While she's typing in the computer, Clint's sort of looking around, seeing swords, and asking, like, what did you say this sword's from? He's kind of becoming curious about this as a whole. After Kate types in one name, Kazi's first name, and then gets something, she tries to type something else, and her stuff's automatically been blocked. So clearly people are on to the fact that they're there. Clint is sort of snooping around and trying to get a little bit better feel of the home, and immediately had a sword put to his neck by Jack. And that is where the episode ends. Jack was there, but I also think, look, for somebody who has a security team, it is really silly for me to believe that they don't have that place cameraed up. And the second they see Kate trying to get in, they're aware who's trying to get in. They're aware that there's an Avenger in their place. So, while I don't think that what we get in this very next episode will be violent towards each other, there are going to be some animosity of like, why are you in here? Why is there an Avenger in my place? And Clint's probably not going to believe a word that comes out of either Jack or Kate's mom's mouth. And I think this is where this is going to cause some friction between Kate and Clint, because Kate's going to be all in like, my mom's the greatest person in the world, she would never do this, and Clint's like, your mom's in on this. And I feel like we all kind of feel that way. I don't think Vera's on the up and up. I've said that before, and I think this, for these teams, for these bonds to work, you're going to put them together and then you're going to break them apart. And since we only have 6 episodes, it's probably going to be in that next episode where they sort of splinter off And I think the impetus of that is going to be that Clint's going to be like, I don't trust your mama. And she's like, but my mom's great. And then we're going to find out her mom ain't shit. But this was by far my favorite episode of this series and my favorite episode that I've had of any of these Marvel shows for quite some time. I could not stop smiling, enjoying the action, shedding some tears, getting a little misty eyed, and if a show manages to do all of that in a really brisk, just over 30-minute time, kudos to everybody involved. I look forward to this series continuing every week to week. I wish it wasn't so short. I would love to get more of this. Echo is great. Maya comes in and kicks butt and makes me want to find out more about her and see where this goes to get her enough time and enough energy that we feel like we want to do a series with her as well. But what did you guys think about the third episode of Hawkeye Echoes? We'll hear your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.